Today we're going to be looking at the GameMaster Dungeons and Caverns core set from the Army Painter, and something I like to call a lava pool that I built based on a video I saw from the Army Painter. This kit is amazing, you can create lots of nice stuff. Stay tuned for more videos of me creating more Dungeons and Caverns. So I already cut and prepared these pieces of foam to be able to create the lava pool. Now this isn't a huge lava pool, but it's like a crevice, so at least the minis can go around it. I didn't want to show how I measure and cut and all that stuff and use the wire foam cutter, which is an amazing tool. But you can check out the Army Painter's YouTube channel for those videos. They're really great. Now I'm just starting from, I have primed it, and I'm going to move on to the colors now that I'm going to be using to create this cavern part of my, cavern. Alright, so using the cavern base paint from the kit, this is a dark brown, and it's going to go over the whole surface using the actual large dry brush that comes with the kit as well. So what you do is you're pretty much going to leave, you're going to dip this in your paint and you're going to leave most of it on it. Like, you're not going to use like a dry brush normally where you just take most of it off. You really want to get a nice coating over all the surface of your area. Now for the next step, I'm going to use some cavern highlights, and again I'm going to use the large dry brush, but this time I'm going to wipe off a lot of the excess paint off of that brush, and now I'm going to just slightly go over it and give it a nice little dirt spatter kind of look. And you can hit the rocks, it doesn't matter because you can come back and paint those with some different colors after. As you can see, I also use some of the terrain stones that come with the kit as well. I made some cracks and stuff in the ground, and that's using a rock, a regular rock. You squish it down into it, and to make like scratch marks you can use the blade. You can push down some corners with the ruler that they give so that it makes it look like really old stone, or that it's a little bit more used. Now I'm going to use some cavern effects. This is a really light brown, or a beige almost. And this you're going to use, I used the medium dry brush I believe for this. Might have actually used a large one still, but yeah, it's a large one still. And you just go over it very gently, take off most of the paint. And this is just going to give it the weathered look that a cavern would have, so that it captures the light and that your cracks and all that show up even more. Now I'm going to use the dungeon highlights actually with the medium dry brush, if I'm not mistaken. And this time I'm going to use to cover up the rocks that I put down. So yeah, I'm using the medium one, and I'm just going to go over slightly. I think I put a little too much paint at the beginning. I didn't take off enough. So I would have wiped down more off of the brush and then just slightly coat these rocks with that dry brush. I'm going to use the dungeon effects paint, and I'm going to go over those rocks again to really pop them out a bit more, and that's again using the medium dry brush from the kit. So now I'm really going to take off most of that paint and just slowly go over, I mean you can quickly go over them too, so that you just get the raised edges of all those rocks. So using the Subterranean Wash and the Brink Black paint, I'm going to mix those up about 50-50. to create another greenish black wash. However, I think it was a little too black, and I darkened the areas a little too much. But you know what? It's okay. It's next to a lava pool, so like right there you can tell that is way too dark. So I try and thin it out a bit by pushing it, and I think I add a little bit more water to it just to water it down a bit, or some more subterranean wash. But you know what? It still comes out pretty nice in how I want it, but again, a little too dark. So in their video, they use the dungeon color that comes in here. I decided to use ash gray for the bottom, and I realized after that I actually shouldn't have created the what do you call it, the squares, I guess, on the bottom layer, and I didn't think of it at the time. I should have just let it flat, because now I have got cracks in the lava pool that I gotta deal with. So I just, instead of putting it on my palette, I put directly the paint right in the surface area that I want to paint. And I spread it out very evenly, and this is just so that the yellow after comes out a little bit nicer, because with the black it would have been so hard. And actually with the yellow it takes me a lot more coats that I do off camera, because I didn't realize how much that yellow gets soaked up by the color underneath it. Alright, and just like they did, I'm using the demonic yellow, which is an army painter paint, and I'm going to cover up all the gray areas that I just painted, and it's nice and dry now. And I actually noticed though that after I had sanded it, it looks like there's a bit of bumps that's stuck on the bottom part of the foam. So when I primed it, it made like these little bubbles, which later on will be very beneficial to what I want to finish this lava lake with. Now I should have listened to the army paint a little bit more and used their mythical orange and decided, oh, I have lava orange. It is way too orange for this. I make it work, but yeah, I think the mythical orange would have been a lot nicer. So here I'm using one of their masterclass dry brushes. That's the small one, and I just wanted to dab this orange all around the edges to give it that fiery glow. So eventually I started noticing that it's a little too orange. I come back and feather it out as much as possible. And I come back and put a little bit more yellow, very dry yellow, on top of the orange again after, just to try and fix the too much orangey color. Now I'm going to give those edges a little bit more of a lava look with Mars Red, and this I followed what they did in their video. I didn't want to make that same mistake. And again, you just feather this around, just the edges between the orange and the walls to really make it pop out. So I use a very smaller dry brush, not a dry brush, sorry, just a smaller brush just to feather it right on top of that orange. Alright, now I'm going to go back to the demonic yellow, and with the medium dry brush, I'm just going to scrape the edges of the cavern walls to make it look like it's glowing off of the pool of lava. I gotta say, that's a great technique, and I'm glad I did it as well. Forgetting that I had Brink Black in the set, I used my matte black, which is also from the Army Painter. And you see all those little dots? That's what I was saying there, the foam when I used the sandpaper? Well, those are going to be perfect little dots for black lava. I don't even know what you call that. Like, you know when lava comes up and it gets hard and about to bubble? Well, I used those little specks to put the black on them. And I used the Insane Detail brush from the Army Painter. And I'm glad I had this brush just to do these little dots. It's very painstakingly, and it comes out nice. Now, of course, realizing I have the white in the dungeon effects, I'm doing the same thing with the white now. I'm going to go over some of these little specks that show up on the foam. And this looks like it's like lava bubbling up to the surface really hot. You know, when something is really hot, it's white. And this gives it a nice little finishing touch. Now I'm going to finish off this cavern lava pool using their XPSF foam glue. I'm going to be placing some little tufts along the edges and on the base itself to give it that nice little caverny look. Now I believe I used the Tungeon tufts that came with it, and I think I used what they're called scorched tufts for close to the lava, so as if like they burnt a bit these plants, and give it that nice look. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It took me quite a bit of time to build this, and I cut a lot of parts out, but it's fun. It's amazing foam to work with. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell to be notified. It means a lot to me, and this is a hobby that has kept me going through the year, and I hope to post more of these in the future. Thanks for watching.